Hey everybody, Christian here back again. In this video, I want to talk to you about why chronic illness is chronic illness. What is it that makes it chronic? Why does your body not have the ability to overcome your digestive condition and recover on its own the way it's supposed to? Once you understand this, you actually understand why the pivot protocol works so effectively. So if you watch this entire video series, what I'm doing here is laying out not so much what you need to do, but explaining to you all the various reasons that you need the right approach. The correct approach makes all the difference. Okay, so I've already talked about modern medicine, why it's blind, what the blindness is specifically. What is it? Why can't it see the various things that are causing your condition? Like when you go to the doctor, if you've ever had this experience where you actually show up at your physician's office, you fill out all the paperwork, he asks you a bunch of, he or she asks you whatever questions they need to get to the bottom of, but it's almost like they're paying attention to something else and it has nothing to do with your condition, or it has very, very little to do with it. And so at the end, not surprisingly, right, you get the script and they send you with a prescription and you go fill a prescription for ranitidine, omeprazole, right, all the various acid blocking medications, right? Proton pump inhibitor, H2 blocker, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, well, that's a really, really dumb and very simplistic view of acid reflux, of digestive illness. If you've had digestive illness for any length of time, there's way more going on than, oh, you have too much stomach acid. In fact, most people with digestive illness don't have too much stomach acid. You probably have too little. So what are you going to do about that, right? Because you don't want to block whatever stomach acid you have. You're making you're digging the hole deeper in that case. You're making more work for your digestive organs. So you need a system that makes sense out of what's happening to your body, because without a system that actually makes sense of what's going on, you're just going to chase your tail. You're just going in circles. And this can go on for decades. So if you're recently sick with digestive illness and you're just getting sick like in the last 6 months, a year, 2 years, count yourself lucky, because a lot of students who find my work actually come to me after decades of misery, decades of daily acid reflux, maybe even, they develop into Barrett's esophagus and other really, really dangerous, very unpleasant kind of scenarios where now there is no other option except emergency medicine. Okay, you want to avoid that. And the way you avoid it, don't use the modern system. Take the emergency medical system, put it over here. If you have an emergency, God forbid, you know where to find it and where to go and what to use it for. But you need this other system that helps you with a chronic condition. That's what I'm showing you how to do. And that's what I've prepared for you and put together inside the pivot protocol. So why is chronic illness chronic? The basic explanation for why chronic disease becomes chronic is your organs are so knocked down, they cannot put themselves upright again. Now, we're going to focus in on one specific mechanism in your pivot. The pivot is the name that I give to the 4 organs that make up broadly speaking, your digestive system. But the pivot is more than just digestion. It's actually your self-healing system. So it's one thing to have good digestion. It's another thing. If your digestion is solid, your self-healing capability, your capacity to heal yourself will function relatively well. Once the digestive system breaks down and you start getting symptoms, you also break down in other systems of your body. You don't sleep well. You have all kinds of weird joint pains and aches, right? You have fatigue to beat the band, right? You just cannot get up and go. Your head is all fogged up and you can't think clearly. Your emotions get out of whack, right? Where you fly off the handle, or you're super sad and depressed for various reasons, right? All of those things start to become real complicating factors. And that's all coming from your body's ability to heal itself, which is directly related to about 80 or 90% of it is related to your own digestive function, your own digestive capacity, your own digestive system. Okay. So we focus on digestion. We focus on the 4 organs that make up the pivot: your stomach, your liver, your spleen, and your intestines, because this is where you get the most bang for your buck. If you get these 4 organs working together, almost everything else goes away on its own. Okay. And so when chronic digestive illness becomes chronic, what you're looking at is a situation where probably several of these things have happened and the body cannot fix itself. But the one we're going to focus on is the stress mechanism. This is so valuable to understand. When I say stress, I don't mean, oh, I feel so stressed. I don't mean an actual, I mean, psychologically speaking, when you feel frustrated, when you feel unfulfilled desire, right, is kicking your ass, which is what stress is from a psychological point of view. That's what stress is. But here I'm not talking so much about when people say, oh, I'm stressed. I'm talking about the physiological reaction that takes place in your organs. So what happens when you feel stressed? Well, physiologically, the body, blood vessels narrow. Your blood vessels shrink and right, they tighten down. So your blood pressure goes up because the plumbing becomes smaller, right? The diameter of your blood pressure, your blood vessels actually decreases, which increases the pressure inside your blood vessels. This is why, right, hypertension, high blood pressure is, of course, directly tied to stress. Okay, so your blood vessels diminish, shrink, decrease in diameter. Your heart rate increases. Your metabolism increases. I mean, if you're gonna, stress is, your body is revved up. So if you're revving your body, like if you go turn on your car and stand on the gas pedal and the tachometer goes up to 6,000 RPMs, well, you're revving the engine up. You're burning more fuel in your body. That burning of fuel is metabolism. The main organ responsible for metabolism is your liver. All metabolic activity has something to do with your liver. Now, it may have something to do with other organs, but it's primarily the liver that's doing all of that processing of metabolic activity. That's very important. I'll come back to that in a second. What else happens? Movement of food and fluids through your digestive system slows down. You have a wave called the peristaltic wave, and it's an undulation where your organs are squishing slowly. It's about every 12 seconds. You have this wave of movement through your intestines, and it's designed, your body is designed to help move food and waste through your system, through your long, small intestine and out and down through the large intestine. And then eventually, right, you eliminate your waste when you go to the toilet. And so that wave of peristalsis slows down, and it actually even stops. Because when you're really stressed, you do not need to have a bunch of activity going on in your digestive system. So when you're stressed, your digestive system slows down, and blood flow does not go to your digestive organs. It actually goes to your muscles, particularly the muscles of your legs, if you're male or female, so you can run away, right? Flight, or in men especially, right? A lot of blood goes to the chest and arms, right? So you can fight like the devil. That's the fight part, fight or flight, right? One or the other, or usually it's both, right? And this is how we evolved across many, many centuries, running from and doing battle with animals, okay? When this stress response, understand what's happening. When this stress response gets very hyperactive and you're living in fight or flight, it actually gets harder and harder to turn it off. So you think like, oh, I'm super stressed. I busted my ass today. I was completely off the wall with stress. And you can feel this in your guts, and even your stomach muscles get clenched down and you tighten up, right? Your body is ready for action. When that happens, the longer that goes on, the harder it is to break. It's not that, oh, I'm stressed and I worked my body very hard today, and because I was so stressed and I took lots of coffee and I was real revved up, and then you can come down at night and sleep. No, that's not how it works. When you're in fight or flight, you can stay in fight or flight and you can't get out of it. Or you like, I almost fell asleep, and then boom, right? It's 5 a.m. and you got to go again. And then it's like, the next night it's like, I didn't really fall asleep. And boom, right? You're back in fight or flight. Okay. The longer you're in fight or flight, the less easy it becomes for your body to get out of that. So you would think that if your body's revved up with stress, that it naturally wants to crash. And so it's like, oh, I slept 12 hours last night. It's like, no, that's not what happens. When you get hooked on stress hormones, when cortisol and adrenaline, noradrenaline are running through your system, your body stays in this fight or flight response mode. Okay. This is very bad for your digestion for reasons that I've just explained. And your heart rate's all wound up, and then you can't turn your brain off at night, and you don't sleep. You don't get good rest, right? This is fight or flight. This is rest and digest. You call sympathetic, parasympathetic. When the sympathetic system is hyperactive, it won't shut off. And so at midnight, you're like almost asleep, but then you're coming right out of it and you're not even resting deeply. Okay. And then the next night, the same thing, right? And during the day, your body's supposed to cycle all the way on and off, right? Oh, I'm resting and digesting now. Oh, okay, time to get up. Boom. I'm through my day, and like 3 p.m., you feel that crash where it's like, oh, I need to take a rest. Entire cultures have built their cultural behavior around that low point in the afternoon. That low point in the afternoon happens because all of your organs have a 24-hour cycle, and the liver is at the high tide between 1 and 3 a.m. That means the liver is working as hard as it's going to work between 1 and 3 a.m. Why? Because while you're asleep, presumably, the liver needs to wash the blood and deal with all the, right? It purifies and sort of cleans the organs and gets you ready for the next day. So it does its work at night. So how do you know if you have liver heat? One of the ways that you know that your liver is working too hard, working too hot, is running too hot, is you can't sleep. In fact, you'll be awake around 1 to 3 a.m. It's very, very, very common, especially with digestive illness. That's a metabolic hyperactivity. When you get into this hyperactive situation where your fight or flight is on and you can't turn it off, it just won't turn off, right? You're headed off a cliff. That's what chronic illness looks like. Now, listen to the words that I'm saying. Chronic illness causes this mechanism to stay out of balance. So you can get to chronic illness because you push too hard and because the stress mechanism wouldn't turn off. Oops, I'm not sleeping good. Oops, I didn't get a good night's sleep again. Oops, right? And in the meantime, your digestive system is running and running and running, and you're building up dampness and you get food stagnation. You get all these problems that I take you into inside the pivot protocol. But the other thing is, once you're sick and your digestive system is not working properly, you're not eliminating waste. You're building up dampness in your intestines. If you don't know what dampness is, get started on the pivot protocol and I'll teach you. Okay, you need to know what this is. Modern medicine doesn't have anything to say about it because modern medicine doesn't even think it exists. Modern medicine doesn't have even a concept or a word for dampness. So you need to know this because if you have a chronic digestive condition, I promise you dampness is part of the problem. Okay, so stress can make you ill, or once your body is breaking down and your organs are not doing what they're designed to do, you get stuck in this mode where fight or flight is turned on. Rest and digest can't quite turn on the way it's supposed to, so you don't come down, you don't cycle this nerve part of your nervous system. I'm resting and digesting, oh, now I'm in fight or flight, right? Here I am resting and getting a good night's sleep and my body's repairing itself. Okay, now it's time to kick ass during the day, okay? If this system isn't oscillating on and off, you're headed for chronic illness. That's the truth. So you need this sympathetic reactivity to come down and for a parasympathetic rest and digest to turn on and come up. And if that's not happening, you're headed off a cliff. In terms of digestive health, you will see chronic digestive symptoms creep in. So I'm showing you why this becomes ingrained and you can't get out of it's like you're stuck in hell, right? And hell in this case is your fight or flight mechanism will not turn off. And the worse your stress gets, the worse your stress gets. The more this stays in fight or flight, the harder it is to get out of fight or flight. That's headed for real catastrophe. That's how people end up with, things like scleroderma and, really weird off the wall autoimmune conditions. I know because this happened to me. Now, I'm not basing all of what I'm telling you on my personal experience. I'm saying this to you because I'm making it easy for you to understand what I did when I really went deep into creating this program. I knew that I needed to understand the modern medical explanation for what's happening and why it's happening. And so I did talk to doctors. I did a lot of research and reading. And if you're sitting there going, hey, what he's saying describes exactly what's happening to me, good, then you're exactly in the right place. I did a lot of the tough work so that you don't have to go do that, so that it makes sense to your experience. When you discover the pivot protocol and you know how to put these pieces in place, the system itself that I'm teaching you makes sense to your experience. Your digestive symptoms will match up with what I'm telling you, and then what you need to do to make that reverse or eliminate those symptoms is actually the easy part. That's the good news that I have for all of you. Okay, so if you haven't gotten started, you can take a quick 1-question quiz below. Get started with the pivot protocol. I have just a ton of stuff to share with you. There's dozens and dozens of ways you can make yourself feel better, starting very quickly, but it's all based on this understanding of how your organs actually work, what's actually happening, right? Not what your doctor says, which is you have too much stomach acid, but what's actually happening inside your body. And if you come at the problem this way, with this approach, with this logic, there's a very, very high chance that you're not only going to feel better quickly, you'll recover permanently. Isn't that what everybody wants? I mean, if you have a digestive illness, don't you kind of want to recover permanently? Don't you want to finally put that behind you? Just imagine what that feels like. I mean, for 15 to 20 minutes a day, if you do a little bit of learning with the pivot protocol, you can actually change the course of your life. I've had students who contacted me who said, hey, I've been sick for 40 years. The record is 54 years. I had somebody who was sick for 54 years. And they said, God, I wish I had found you sooner, because obviously think of how much life I missed. You're the first person who made sense out of my condition. Well, it's not me, right? The system that I'm teaching you makes sense out of your digestive illness. It's a far better way to understand what's happening and to know what to do about it. The good news is the solutions are the easy part. It's actually easy to fix most digestive conditions. Now, I don't mean to promise anybody on this video that means that you're going to, like, overnight, you're going to be well. If you've been sick for a long time, there's probably some work to do. So you need to put pieces in place. It's all a very step-by-step process. If you want to get started on the phase 1 material, click the link below. There's a quiz for acid reflux. There's a quiz for IBS sufferers. You can go to that link and take a 1-question quiz if you haven't already. It's very important to know where to start. We need to know your dominant type of reflux or what stage of IBS your body is in right now. And once we know that, then we can apply the correct, so we can start in the right place, I like to say. And if you have been through the phase 1 material, you're eligible for my group coaching. The group coaching call, it's the most efficient, most economical, best and fastest way for you to apply the pivot protocol to fix your chronic digestive illness starting today. What we do in the group coaching call is I walk you through, you fill out some information ahead of time. I read that, I make some comments. I put together some thoughts, which I will send to you in a private email. And on the coaching call, you get 10 minutes of my personal attention where I'm going to tell you, okay, here's what's going on. Let's get really clear on what's happening inside your body. Number 1. Number 2, right? Here's what you have to do right now to get to the next level. This is the obstacle that you're up against. If you do this, your body's going to get to the next level. And then the third part is, well, what happens then? Well, I'll tell you where to go in the material so that you quickly learn, right? The pivot protocol is not hard to learn, but it is new. And learning something new for a lot of people is intimidating. It can be confusing. I've put the material together at a 7th grade level. So it's not like if you have any reading comprehension at all that you can't get this done. I'm also teaching you with video demonstrations and audio lectures, and I'm walking you through some very simple concepts that really help you make your digestion better quickly. But I understand that learning something new can be difficult for people. So I created the group coaching call as a way to get you information quickly and to tell you exactly where to go so that you're not wasting time on anything that's not relevant to you right now. If you need to learn more about what to do about spleen intestinal dampness, okay, well, go to module 2, right? If you need to learn more about the solutions that exist for liver stomach heat, go to module 3. Like, go to these areas because it's specific to your situation right now. Okay, there's a link. If you click that link for group coaching, this is only for students who have been through phase 1. If you haven't done phase 1, you need to at least go through that part of the protocol. Otherwise, I really don't want to help you because it's going to waste your time and your money, and it's not good for other people on the call. I want people who at least know enough about the protocol and the introduction in the phase 1 members area. That means that your healing process has already begun. Right? From there, I can really help you quickly. So if you're interested in group coaching, click the link, fill out some of the very quick questions to give me some information to go on. And we will talk together at a time. You'll get an email back from me for the group coaching call. And I will spend 10 minutes with you personally. And you can listen to all the other explanations for the other people on the call. This is a magnificent way to learn the pivot protocol quickly and to apply what you've learned immediately. So if you're trying to heal quickly, and who doesn't want to heal quickly, This is the fastest way I know how to do it. It's also very economical. I charge a lot of money for private coaching, but with the group call, you're only paying a portion for the 10 minutes that you're on. And it's a much faster way to learn exactly what you need to do. So if that sounds like it's for you, great. I hope you'll join us. Click below. Make sure there's still room there. I expect this to fill up, so don't wait. If you're seeing this 6-video series, you definitely want to take advantage of it while it's still available. Okay, thanks very much. In the last video of this 6-part series, the next video coming up here is part 6. I want to talk to you about what every other approach to healing digestive illness, whether it's reflux or IBS, what every other approach is missing. This is the one thing, when you hear it, you're going to say, actually, that makes sense. Based on everything that he's told us so far, that makes sense. Every other approach starts in the wrong place, and you're going to know exactly what that is and why that's such a problem. Okay, so in part 6, I'm going to talk to you, here's what every other approach misses and why the pivot protocol is a better system for healing chronic digestive illness, because you're not starting in the wrong place. We're not skipping over this very important part. And all these other people who tell you, you know, to eat ginger and drink cider vinegar and eat lots of probiotics and eat this herb or take this or do whatever. It's like, no, actually, you don't do that part first. I've already told you what else we need to do in the meantime, but what are these people missing and why is it so important to understand that? It will make total sense to you by the end of the next video. Okay, thanks very much. That's enough out of me. I'll talk to you in part 6.